Hi everyone, I'm Juliet Stinson and we're going to cover cause and effect analysis today. So, this method was developed by Professor Ishikawa in 1968 while he was working at Kawasaki, revolutionizing their management quality processes. This is a diagram-based approach for thinking through all possible causes of a problem. This method is a great way of generating lots of different ideas and possible causes for problems. It's important to explore all the possible causes and contributing factors to a problem before you even start to think about a solution. This way, when you develop the solution, it's addressing and resolving all the causes the first time around. So there are two basic styles of diagrams when using this method. There's the fishbone, or sometimes called the Ishikawa diagram, and this is the most popular. And then there is the tree diagram, which has the causes branching off from the effect over here, which is the problem. So now we're going to go over how to use a fishbone diagram. So first, we're going to clearly define the problem. You're going to first fill out the effect side of the diagram, which is over here. It can be on the right or left, though, side of the diagram, by clearly defining the problem being addressed. You're going to do this by identifying who is involved, what the problem is, and when and where it occurs. Since this method is commonly done with teams, it's a good idea to make sure everyone is clearly on board and understands what the problem is and is in agreement on what it is before they proceed. So you put the stated problem at the far right of the diagram, and this is the head of the fish, and then we're going to draw a line across the paper horizontally. Next, you'll add the bones to the cause side of the diagram by identifying the major factors that may be involved with the problem. The number of cause categories or bones in your diagram will depend on which field you're working in. You can identify these by asking questions like who, what, where, when, why, and how. There are some fields that these categories are already established. So you have, for example, McKinsey, the 7S framework. They have strategy, structure, systems, shared values, skills, style, and staff. For marketing, there's the 4 Ps: product, place, price, and promotion. There are 6 globally recognized standards for manufacturing: measurement, material, machine, Mother Nature, manpower, and method. So that's just how you're going to create the main categories of the bones. So next, we're going to identify each of the possible causes in each of the categories by brainstorming any possible causes that may be related to that category. We're going to draw lines coming off of the bones like this for each cause. So I thought this one was really funny, like bad coffee. So you've got procedures. So some of the causes that would come off of this category would be too much water, too much coffee, brewed too long. And if you have really complicated causes, you can have sub-causes that would branch off of this one. So as you fill out the diagram, you can edit, add, or remove any branches not applicable to your problem. Lastly, you're going to analyze your final diagram. You should then validate causes that have been generated by investigating, observing processes, and collecting data that would then be used to verify or dismiss causes. So some of the strengths of this is that for this method is that you thoroughly analyze the situation, exploring all possible causes and contributing factors. This model can be particularly beneficial when used by teams rather than individuals because you get the benefits associated with team dynamics, such as generating lots of ideas and thinking outside the box. It works well on problems that are difficult to quantify and that are prone to lots of differing opinions, as this model visually captures and organizes lots of different information and clarifies the relationship between the causes and the problem statement. And this method allows for multifaceted problems, which doesn't require you to narrow down the ideas to one single problem or cause. Weaknesses could be that it doesn't work well for individuals. People might be less honest or open in group sessions where they're not anonymous, and you can get negative group dynamic side effects such as groupthink. So for my practical application, we came up with a problem that our dog was not behaving as well as he'd been trained previously. He pulled too much on his leash when he's on walks. And he's a 95-pound, 6-month-old puppy. So when he pulls, he can pull really hard. So this is what I came up with initially for our fishbone diagram. I came up with some categories. I've got management, physical, training, and environment. And off of those, we came up with some causes. For example, environment, there were other people around that sometimes reinforce his bad behavior or like give him rewards when he's jumping up on them, like they aren't disciplining him. Other dogs aren't trained well in our building where they jump up and bark on him, so that kind of initiates it and makes it worse. And then with further brainstorming, this is the diagram that I ended up with. So I actually ended up editing one of these. Instead of just physical, it became physical and mental. As we were adding causes to it, it made sense to expand the category. Management stayed, training, environment, and then measurement was additionally added because we realized that we might not have a clear understanding of feedback and standards. And the biggest one was that we had poorly defined targeted behaviors. So that was just a different category where we came up with some causes and they didn't quite fit into the other ones. So we added that category. So here are my observations for the strengths. We came up with lots of ideas that we hadn't thought of previously. I really liked that it was visually connected, the effects, categories, and causes. So it had like a clear flow. It made sense how they all connected. And I really liked the different groupings. Like I thought that the diagram structure really helped with my brainstorming. So having those categories existing helped generate new ideas within those categories. And then also by like brainstorming further on different causes to the problem, those causes would inspire like the idea of different causes. And if they didn't fit into that category that already existed, it kind of inspired the creation of new categories. So it was really easy to edit, add to, like modify. It was very flexible. And I thought it was a great little model. Some of the weaknesses was that it wasn't very practical. Since we were doing it on a whiteboard, I kept erasing stuff with my hand while I was writing it. We didn't have a very large whiteboard, so like I needed a lot more room. Some of the content was like really squished in and poorly laid out. Like I didn't know which categories were going to be bigger or smaller, so I didn't have like it perfectly spaced out. So some of the content was like really crammed in there and didn't look great. The causes weren't organized within the categories. They were all just kind of like, free-flowing brainstorming ideas. So it made it difficult to scan it. It was hard to generate categories specific to this problem at the beginning because it's not like a normal standard issue within like marketing or something like that. Because it was a very unique topic that I was doing, I didn't have predefined categories. I did try and use the categories. Some of them like management, training, measurement. Those things are categories that I got like ideas from looking at other industries, and I thought that helped. But it was a little bit harder using like this unique problem. And also we maybe didn't think of all the categories that we could have, so maybe we missed some of the causes to the problem. So that seemed like a weakness. And there were also there was some ambiguity over where to place some of the causes. That wasn't clear cut which category some of the causes might fit into. So there was like overlap between categories. So this might be a problem for people that are like very picky about this sort of thing, like maybe developers where they want like very clear cut boxes that things fit into. So having that kind of gray area might be difficult for them. But overall, in conclusion, this worked for us. We came up with new ideas that we hadn't thought of previously, and we came to a consensus about one idea in particular that we identified that was new from doing this exercise, that we had poorly defined the targeted behaviors that he needs to do during the walks. So clearly, if we don't know what our goal is, we know that there's a problem that he's pulling on it, but if we don't know what the goal is, exactly how he should be behaving, we can't really model that behavior. So this seemed like super obvious and clear afterwards. We were like, oh, huge red flag. Okay, we should do that. So anyways, I thought it was really fun. My husband really liked it too. He said he thought it was a fun little way to analyze a problem. I liked that it's basically a guided brainstorming session where you've got the diagram to kind of help funnel your ideas and thoughts and help like generate new ones. So I like this one. Thanks for joining me. Everyone have a good day.